We will continue with the next chapter of today. It is named Tokenization of Assets, Securities, Debt, Equity from Issuance to Trading. And our first guest is already with me here on stage. Please give a warm welcome to Konstantin Dagianis of PwC.
Yeah, hello everybody from my side as well. I'm going to talk today about crypto custody and how important it is to think about the custody, what basically happens after you have a license, and how you can be assured that the services are well positioned and, of course, secure. So we are going to talk a lot about security and trust. My name is Konstantin Dagianis. I'm a partner with PwC. I am leading the crypto assurance practice at PwC in the financial services sector. And at PwC, we have over 350 people working constantly on crypto projects globally and have a great network, so a very good interchange between the different countries and different regulations, and we are always up to date in these areas. So let me start with crypto custody, which is getting more and more important as we have more and more stakeholders in the market. And we saw a couple of different keynote speeches yesterday talking about self-custody and when I can do self-custody, when I should do outsource these custodians. I remember the one presentation from Julian from CCFE, where he explained that you can do the self-custody on your phone, but as soon as you have a little bit more funds on your phone, it can be a huge risk because you do your own custody. So, but the stakeholders are demanding more and more security in that market. And we have, from a stakeholder perspective, the institutions which have huge funds and they really want to have a secure environment, so they need a lot of custodians. And then we have, of course, the corporates, when they invest. We have exchanges, they need a custody. And the nice part here that you in Germany have a really good regulation since 2020. That the German market is clear how it is regulated and what kind of measures you have to implement as a custodian. The only issue is, and Alizera said that in the panel before, that there are a lot of applications out there at the BaFin which are not approved yet. So we have 4 applications in Germany which are approved, so 4 licenses out there, around about 20 or more are in the process of the approval. So this is the only issue right now, that the process of the approval takes very long. But really, what I want to stress today, as soon as you have the license, it doesn't mean that I can trust the provider. So because application at the BaFin, of course, you have to fulfill a lot of different regulations and you have to document a lot of things. But it doesn't mean that the whole system is operating that way. So I think that's very important as soon as you talk to a custodian with a license or without a license, to think about having, you cannot trust blindly a licensed custodian. So I want to talk a little bit about, as soon as you are in the crypto market, you will need a license or you will need a licensed custodian. First of all, if you outsource the whole services, it's very important to understand what the risks are behind that. So first of all, if you outsource the whole funds to a custodian and the custodian loses or the key gets compromised, it's a huge risk. If the funds are gone, you cannot reverse it, so basically you lose all the funds. That's why you have to check what kind of insurance the custodian have? What kind of liabilities does that fit to your funds you want to invest and you want to store at the custodian? And I cannot stress that more, but you have to conduct a really detailed risk assessment if you outsource to custodians, because it's not just an outsourcing topic. It is you are outsourcing so much risk which you can't take back, and you cannot outsource the whole risk. You're still responsible for the funds of your clients. So a thorough due diligence is very important. And here I don't mean just, oh, the custodian is licensed, that's fine, so it's a BaFin-regulated entity, so I don't have any risk behind it. No, that's not the way it works. So you really have to do an on-site inspection of the custody. You have to review what kind of security measures they have implemented, because you cannot rely just on the design of the whole processes. You really have to get the operating effectiveness. And this is very important. If the custodian, of course, has a third-party like certification, then you can review that. You have to integrate the whole thing in your internal control framework, and it's very important to really review the processes as they were yours. Speaking of yours, of course, there is the other option. You could go and get a license from the BaFin or the regulator in your country. You need to have certified software, certified technology you use. The risk assessment is, of course, for your processes as well, very important. But there you have the operating effectiveness basically in your own hand. And you really can audit it much easier than you can audit it at a third party when you outsource it. So it's very important that you really get transparency of the doing. Because it's very easy to write something on paper for a license, but it's not so easy to implement it at the end and really fulfill what you have talked about. So, and I can talk about really, we have experience in that area from the banking area for the past years. As soon as the regulator comes and audits banks, a lot of things, or other financial institutions, a lot of things come out that are not working right, and the operating effectiveness is often not there in every area. So that's why as soon as you outsource, and we are talking about a lot of funds here and a huge risk, a thorough assessment is very important. So just to give you an overview what kind of information a license includes. So first of all, you have to explain the business model. If you are outsourcing to a custodian, you don't care about the business model so much, but the BaFin, of course, cares about it. What kind of business plan is behind there? What kind of business model is behind it? What kind of plans they have? The plan figures like balance sheet information. When are they going to make money? How they are going to make money, and so on. So they have to apply for that. Then, of course, the financial modeling is very important as well in the area. If the business case break evens, when does it break even, how they are going to structure the whole business case, and so on. Then we have a business organization. I think this is very important in the application process, because you really have to build a team, and the team has to have a know-how. So you really have to show them that you have a clear organizational structure. The team knows what it does and has especially experience in this area. And you, of course, have to implement a structure where you have independence things. You have like the 3 lines of defense implementation. So you need a compliance unit, you need somebody for anti-money laundering, and so on. Then we have the topic of compliance. So you need an internal control framework where you address all the compliance, all the regulatory requirements. And it's not only one, it's a lot of different requirements. You need people who understand the compliance requirements, who can translate it basically to the real doing, what they have really to do. And of course, you need a process monitoring the changes of compliance requirements. Risk management is very important as well. You need to explain how your risk management works, what kind of scenarios you have implemented, that you have implemented a risk inventory, which is very important, and it's not only important for crypto custodians. Financial institutions have to do that, and it has to be complete. So you really have to think about all the risks and assess the risks, and have scenarios and build countermeasures to the risks, which address the different risks. Of course, IT is a very big topic in this whole application process, because the custody is very IT related. You need good systems, you need a good architecture, you need a good security strategy, you need a good crypto concept, which is really detailed and have to describe the crypto functions behind it. And there again, I want to stress it, that you can explain a lot in a concept, but if you're not doing what you say, then you have an issue. And I can tell you right now, if you compare licensed custodians and non-licensed custodians, nobody has looked into the doing, so into the machine room, let's call it this way, because the BaFin just needs the paperwork right now. So this is, I think, a very important topic as soon as you outsource something, to look into that, or to bring experts to look into that. I just want to give you an overview of what is important from a technology perspective. So of course you need to implement a governance for the whole processes to ensure that the crypto assets are managed appropriately. And there it's very important that it is secure, you have a right team, you have the structure implemented, everybody knows what to do and who to report to and how to analyze the different things. Then you have the wallet creation. Of course, you need a very certified software. You need to test the software of the wallet accordingly. There are regulations which explain how to have a software development life cycle. You have to think about change management, program changes, basically. You need to think about computer operations. So basically, how do you do incident management when something happens? Very important in the key device handling, what happens if an incident occurs? Do you have processes implemented? Of course, and again, you can describe a lot of things on the paper, but what happens if an incident happens, and how do you really react? This is very important. You have to test this regularly and show your clients as a custodian that you know what you're going to do when a business continuity incident happens. Very important topic, the key generation that happens usually in a key ceremony. Who knows basically the key? No, it shouldn't be one person. It should be separated in to different people. So not one person can really withdraw all the funds. That is, I think, a very, very important step, the key generation and then the key management. So these two parts have to work hand in hand and have to be reviewed regularly and shouldn't be changed too much. The key holders, they need regular training. They need to know, and they shouldn't know each other. I think that's very hard in a lot of companies, because if 2 people or 3 people join and you have, I don't know, 100 million of funds on one wallet, then it's very, very risky that 3 people at a beer sit together, put the key together and withdraw the funds, and you can't do anything. Of course, you can hire the police and so on, get the police, but if the funds are gone, it's a blockchain, it's anonymous. Yeah, there are a lot of options how to get away with that. So very important to focus on that. Then one very important topic is the transactions, that you have white listings implemented. The interfaces have to be very transparent and tested regularly. And again, there it's very important who can make changes, who has the authorization to do something in that area, who is testing that whole process and in the confirmation area. The signing, who is allowed to sign something, when are people signing transactions, and is anybody reviewing that? Is anybody reviewing who is signing what transactions? So I think there are a lot of simple things which you have to take a look at as a custodian, and a lot of companies, what we have seen, don't take it so seriously in every step. So authorization is very important as well. Who could theoretically change something in a transaction? And I think that's very important. In the systems of the custodians, there could be a transaction, but it has to be posted on the blockchain as well. So there is an interface between the system and the blockchain. And this has to be very good tested and has to be very secured because not everybody should change something in there. Regularly, reconciliation between the books and the blockchain data is very important. And of course, regular reconciliation between the value of the crypto and what in the books are. So these are a couple of things and risks you have to review. And if you outsource something to a custodian, of course, you should take a look at that. And you shouldn't just do inquiry and ask them how you're doing that, and they explain it to you. You should go there and take a look at the key ceremony. You should go there and take a look how they do the interfacing, how they do their change management, who has access to what. So really you need transparency because you're going to give them a lot of trust in the future. And you need regularly to analyze that outsourcing and focus very strongly on that outsourcing because you can lose a lot of money if the funds are gone or if there is no insurance which covers your funds. So to be very fair here, it's a high risk outsourcing. So you should focus on that, and you need a lot of expertise in this area in the outsourcing team. So with that said, I think it's very important. We are going to need a lot of custodians because in every crypto business, whatever ecosystem it is, somehow you need to store the assets. And that's why custodians will be very important. And we have right now 2025 in the pipeline in Germany. There will be many more. So it will be very interesting to review and to see who is going to survive and who is going to be a trusted party where a lot of people can outsource it and sustain in that market, because it will be a very risky business. That's from my side. Thank you for your time, and I'm hoping to brought you the topic custodian a little bit nearer. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Konstantin. Great job. Yeah, we are open for questions. If you have any, I'd love to bring you a microphone, or you can do that. And in the meantime, also feel free to post questions in the Telegram group that you want to address to Konstantin directly. Sure.
And I will be here, so if you want to talk afterwards, more than welcome.
Great, yeah. Oh, back there. Can you bring the gentleman a microphone? Thank you. It's always half a marathon run, like also upstairs, which is very tiresome.
Markus und Fehlmann from Mikobo. You mentioned that you consider the outsourcing as a high-risk outsourcing. So my first question, how do you make your judgment on the risk magnitude? And the second one, is it actually an outsourcing or isn't it a service subscription?
So basically, first of all, high risk because you are having a lot of funds in the whole process. It's basically, I want to compare it with a data center outsourcing, and then I can tell you it is an outsourcing. It's not a service. And from a risk perspective, you have in your process of managing cryptos, let's call it, or brokering cryptos, it is a crucial part in the process. That's why it's a high-risk outsourcing, and I haven't seen any bank or financial institution who said that custody overall, not only crypto custody, is a lower risk outsourcing. It's usually a high-risk outsourcing, yeah.
All right. I think time's up as well. So again, thank you very much, Konstantin.